Gurucharan, thank you for your time today. We
Good to
have,
see you again, Tommy.
it's great to see you, always a pleasure. We have the imminent arrival of the 21 Stages of Meditation course here in Los Angeles, California, October 10th through the 16th. And I wanted to take time today to interview you to talk about the creation of this course and to answer questions that people may have about the course who are considering taking it and coming here to Los Angeles for this experience. Well, for 35 years, you were very much a right-hand man to Yogi Bhajan in the creation of the level 1 Aquarian teacher training and also the level 2, the 5 modules of training. How does this course complete things in your mind?
I think at the very center of any successful process that actually makes it to our heart so that we can live from that heart, there is a sense of reality, a sense of self. And in all the amazing number of kriyas and exercises and postures and processes that we have in Kundalini Yoga, it's quite a wide array. A lot of people would get in and learn the basics, do very well actually in presenting a class in yoga. And yet, they didn't have the intimate, kind of deep relationship to where meditation takes you. In meditation, the ability to be still, to listen in a profound way, in the cells, listen to what your heart is saying, what your true self is trying to reveal to you by your life. That ability was essential. Otherwise, we had a lot of people teaching. Okay, I have this kriya, I have this technique, I like this. And yet, there was sort of a lack of a centralizing matrix, a feeling of that self. When I learned from Yogi Bhajan, the one thing that I experienced again and again is when he started to teach, in his own words, he said, I will pour myself into you. And he didn't mean I'm dominating or I'm going to convince you of a belief or something like that. He meant it's an energetic process, and you as a teacher need to find that neutral place, that cozy spot of trust and authenticity in you. And I think there's like a million factors that pull us off into some role that we have to play, pressure from the outside,
Yes.
compulsion from the inside, family stories, so many things. And so the only way to really go into that depth is to go into a relationship to the mind and to yourself. So for that, what we needed was a very practical experience that would give a map, sort of guide us through the polishing of that.
Yes.
And this is what I found when I got this course in, and people are doing it now around the world. Then we hear the same kind of comments. It's like, oh, I went to a new level of depth. Oh, finally, I remembered exactly what this is all about.
Yes.
So for me, it was a completion in the sense that it brings back a central focus. And one of the things that I think is a real plus for understanding Kundalini Yoga and the whole thing that we've built over the last 40 years. So it's a completion of a circle, because meditation and the kind of sense of who we are starts from the very beginning when you say to somebody, Sat Nam. This is an old greeting that we have in our group. Hey, Sat Nam. Sat means your reality, your essence. Sat Nam, your identity. Sat Nam, I love to be with you when I can feel you coming from your real true self. Sat Nam, I honor the reality that I can't even put in words, that I know I don't know, but I'm with you. Let us experience it together.
Yes, I love it.
That togetherness,
Yes.
that was the missing gap that I wanted in there. And look, the big force that got a little out of touch with that was simply that yoga started out and meditation started out as a faraway idea in our culture. And recently, it's become mass market and mass marketed. So beyond mass marketing and getting what you like, there's something about who you are that is so fulfilling. We wanted to make sure that conversation we could assist in.
Okay.
And that's what this process is. It's an assist
Yes.
to take you into the depth.
Yes. Do you remember the first time you heard that from Yogi Bhajan's perspective there were 21 stages?
Yes.
What was that like? That was new for you, I imagine, at that moment.
Yes, because one of my jobs, as he would say, was, he says, I've given you all of Kundalini Yoga, and I give you an outline, and you fulfill this outline, and then we would act in collaboration. And so I was very alert because of that, and because I was the answer man, so I had to answer a lot of questions about things that I never even imagined. But I was very alert to newness, to things that were different. And I was aware of all the many systems and stages and the idea of levels in many belief systems and religions, right? And then when he came out and said, here's stages, then I immediately said, oh, and what was different? You know, was he going to go to all the philosophy and stages? And what was different was, he said, no, I'm speaking right from experience. And so that's the way I learned it, was I'd go into the stage, I would master that stage, and he would take people through the experience. So, and of course, the funny thing is, when he first said it, he said there were 20. And so then I was working on it, it went out, and I realized through the experience that there should be a 21st. And I thought, well, that's odd. Why didn't he mention it? And then we had this kind of relation. So I sat with him. I said, sir, it seems to me that there is this 21st. And then he just started laughing. He said, exactly. And then we crafted that. And what was fascinating about that is it is a stage that he and I had shared and experienced for many times over the years, right from back in 1970. And he had described it through the years in different ways. And so he was like happy. And it was at that point that he said, all right, I want to put diagrams in, and I'm going to give you a gift. And that's when he drew all of these pictures. So it came out of a kind of celebration that we were getting the concept. We were with the experience, and we were in that rapport.
Beautiful. So let's go right to the concrete. What is like an example of a stage? What's the first stage of meditation? For someone who's watching, like, I mean, it's very exciting sort of that there's a process. I get it. What's the first stage? What are we experiencing in that first stage?
Okay, great question. So we have two words, a state and a stage, right? So a stage means your mental tendency, the way that your mind and experience works, and how we hold the frequency. So like you say in your recovery course, the frequency of addiction to the frequency of recovery. There's a stage, there's a whole shift of the environment in a stage. So stages are something that all the action happens on. Now within that, there's a state. And so a lot of times if we do a meditation, we have an experience, right? We feel elevated, that's a state. Or we feel concentrated, or we feel relaxed. Those are states. So in this case, we're saying we want to develop that stage of relationship to what's going on. So we pick something in the very first one. Let's talk about that one. And so if you look in the book, so I'm going to flash the book here on the screen.
Yes.
You'll see a little poem, and you'll see a funny diagram.
Yes, and I see the word upset.
Yes. And so the first stage in this series is upset. And it's a fun one because a lot of people go, wait a minute, you're going to teach me meditation and I have to be upset? And of course, what we mean by stage is the natural process of the mind upsets us all the time. It upsets what we're trying to do. And when we are upset by life, where are we? So the stage of upset is the ability meditatively in the process to bring yourself with full heart right into all the upsets that we create within ourselves, and the environment creates and other people create. How do we act in our true self? So upset is not looked at as a bad thing. It is just there's a state of upset that we get. The stage is to master bringing the true self to recognize the meaningfulness, the message, and the opportunities with the process of upset. So in this, when you read the book or take the course, we'll say, well, here's the normal ways that we upset ourselves. For example, we don't know how our mind works. We just never paid attention. We don't notice that our mind just does this. And then when you don't know why suddenly you end up being in the state of upset, right? And you don't recognize how you're relating to that, you can't master the stage of bringing yourself meditatively to act in the appropriate way, the way that makes sense to you, that is meaningful, an action that you can learn from, share, and stand with for years and years. You say, yep, that was me. Because think of all the times the state of upset comes. Later you look back and you go, oh, that wasn't me. What was I thinking? Where
Yes.
did I go? So when you master the stage, you enter into a meditative process that no matter what the world is in terms of upsetting you or how we set ourselves up to be upset, we master it when we establish ourselves in such a way that even upset serves us.
And that's only the first stage.
And that's only the first stage. That's right. That's
I
right.
feel like
and why
that's
is it a first stage? Because it's usually the first thing you notice when you start paying attention.
right.
When you go inside, you say, hey, my windshield isn't cleaned. I don't know what I'm seeing.
Yes.
There's a lot of stuff going on. So it's a very common thing. And it's important because sometimes people say, I'll meditate, I'll just be peaceful. Sure. You want to find the peace as part of everything you do.
That's right.
So that's the first stage. Yes,
Thank
we
you
have
so
to
much.
learn about ourselves and do a transformation.
And in an overview of the entire course, there are three different. The course is basically broken down into three journeys, as I recall.
That's right.
And so, can you speak about those three journeys?
Sure. So by journeys, there are 7 stages that we kind of master, that we cultivate in relation to ourself and to our mind and our emotions and feelings. So the first one we say is crystallizing that sense of self.
Crystallizing the self.
So yeah, you clean out your windshields, you get all your closets clean, you become authentic and present. It's a very powerful thing to do. And then if you have that, and you have that sense of self crystallized, well, you're in relationship. And we learn so much by being in relationship. We're not alone. So there we have the expressive self. How do you bring that which is true in the roles that we play, in the relationships that we have, in all the different kinds of contexts and conditions that we have to face, whether it's family or your girlfriend or boyfriend or it's your teacher, whatever it is. So now there's stages that naturally arise, again, because we are designed to be in relation. We reflect each other. So how do we do that? To elevate the true self.
So
and then if you get through those two, third journey, the transcendent self, which is a beautiful dimension of we can talk about, but it takes you beyond even those two and brings in a touch of grace and humility and blessing and healing and many things.
Now, so crystallized self, expressive self, transcendent
self.
self. Okay.
That's right.
We spoke about the stage upset, which is from the 7 stages
Crystallized
of.
self.
Okay. Can you give me a stage from the second process?
Sure. And you'll see when you look at the book, it's all kind of nicely organized in all of this. So like here's a stage, and that one is called rasa.
Rasa.
Yeah. You'll see a little guy laying in the back here, and then things coming from the heavens. So rasa means the essence of the juiciness that comes with life. When you embrace life in a certain way, when you allow the experience in, it's like you're just relaxed and the heaven is pouring into you, all this experience. So how do we experience the essence of what we find in relationship? And that's going to be true whether you're drinking tea and savoring it or you're with a person. We're talking. And if you and I savor each other and understand the essence going on in the exchange of energy we have, it is profound. That particular stage is an essential piece to being able to be a good healer. So it doesn't matter whether your form of healing is massage and touch or chiropractic or blessing or whatever your approach is, homeopathy, there still has to be in the healer a stage of mastery of this sense of rasa. So it gives you a subtlety of sensing.
So what I love, what you just said, is I love the idea of healing as an extension of the expressive self. That's a beautiful idea. I'm not sure that I've necessarily thought of it in those terms. And I can see how you really need the crystallized self first in order to really access some of the deeper elements of self in order to be expressive in relationship to other. Healing being just one relationship.
One relationship. That's right. That's right. And just to mention that, healing from my perspective is what we're built to do. We are always healing. What does that mean? Becoming whole. Why? Because we're always becoming fragmented. So we have two sides of us. A wholeness that is always there, that you don't, there's a profound wholeness that's kind of always there. But the manner in which we relate to it, we fragment, and we need to be very good at this constant flow between our fragments and our whole self, our parts and our whole. And that's the essence of healing, creating wholeness.
Thank you so much. Can you pull a stage from the third journey, the transcendent self?
Sure. If I go to the book.
Yes.
And you'll see this one.
Presence like a beacon.
Presence like a beacon. And you see here there's a very self-contained little guy sitting there with the meditation, and the heart's open. And then there's like beams coming out like this.
It's one of my favorite meditations, by the way.
It's
true.
My
God, love it.
Because it extends your sense of presence. And now at the transcendent level, on that level of our experience, it's interesting because it's a hard level to talk about. Words don't do it. There's always a gap between the words, language, the concepts, and just the power of presence. So sometimes we talk about this in meditation world. We say it's important that your presence works for you, or that you, in humility, you give a prayerful state and you address, the infinite, the God, the vastness. And if that is authentic from your crystallized self, if you have a particular sensitivity in that relationship of praying or asking or projecting, right, in that, there is an automatic co-creative response between you and your unknown self, your infinite self. So this whole journey, the transcendent, starts to tap that. And when you look at 7 stages in the journey, the first 4 always give you sort of the skills. So like in this, the ability to feel presence and to feel the space of you expand. And what does that mean when that happens? Because when you master the stage, you stay very real, practical, authentic. You don't go, okay, I'm spaced out. That's it. It's like you go crazy with infinite spaces. No, because you have the crystalline self.
Yes.
And you're in relation. And so now you have a place, you have a home, not just an experience. You have a way in which this is a dynamic, living presence. And that's an amazing thing, because then you get a quality that we just call uniqueness. So your life, Tommy, and your friends, they're unique lives. Nobody's lived them before. So you can't get all abstracted about it. This is what people do. They abstract. Oh, we're all one, in an abstract way. It's not abstract. You know that by the lived reality, the history, the challenges, the love that we're able to bring into the moment of our actions. So that's what this whole journey is about. And in a way, it balances the other two, you might say, because now you have to add new dimensions. You have to be humble. You need to allow in. You have to let go. Even though you've built a lot with the crystallized self and you've built a lot with the expressive self, as we all do, you have to hold it lightly. You have to allow it to grow. You have to let your teenager become a man or a woman.
Yes.
There's a shedding and a letting go to realize the uniqueness that is not just reproducing you, but the newness, the spontaneousness that comes. And that's the transcendent gift.
Beautiful. Well, Gurucharan, that's amazing. And I want to ask that you personally invite people on this video to come to this course in your own words. What's special about coming to LA? Why now? Why
Listen,
at this point?
I invite any of you should come because, well, for me, I started in LA. I went to college there. I met Yogi Bhajan there in 1969. I began some of the first ashrams that led to all of these teachings going out. So I do have a history there. But more than that, LA is kind of the world leader for these kind of conversations. There are many groups and meditations and things there. So we have a large community and people have experience from many traditions. So to me, this is exciting. I'm looking forward to coming to LA. I know that whoever comes, we will have that sense of uniqueness and completion and exploration. And I can tell you just from my own experience and the way this whole process arose, that people take it and they like to take it again and again. Because it's not just about, oh, here's a book, learn these meditations. This is an opportunity. This is what excites me. It's an opportunity to go into this space with people, to really observe your own self, open that heart,
Hmm.
and realize things. So every time I take it or teach it, and I mean this sincerely, every time it's like you go through these stages and you see a little bit more where you are right then.
Yes.
And so it's not like a thing to learn. It's not like that at all.
Yes.
It's more like let us open the space together and explore it.
This
That's
will
what I love.
this will be my second time taking the course, and the words that I would choose would be this: I choose to put myself into this experience. I'd rather be there than almost anywhere else on this planet. I'd rather be in this experience than anything else. And that's really saying something for someone who really has struggled in his life to sit still at all. So I'd prefer to go and experience this wonderful space, this experience of the 21 stages, than to do pretty much anything else. So
I'm looking forward to seeing you there.
yeah,
And you and I will be there. We'll be meditating, creating a space with whoever has joined us for this, right?
yes, yes,
In my experience, will be you and I will look at each other at some point and we'll say, "Oh, we're here again, and we never left," because it touches a place that's just real. And when you're in that place, you're everywhere and you're somewhere.
yes.
Or as I like to say, you go to infinity and back, and you become real right here.
Okay.
That's what it's all about, as far
Can't
as
wait.
I'm concerned.
If you'd like to sign up for this course, please go to 21stagesofmeditation.com. That's the number 21stagesofmeditation.com, and sign up and come join us October 10th through the 16th in Los Angeles, California. Gurucharan, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Satnam.
Much love. Satnam.